Joseph was the symbol of a destiny his brothers were not yet able to understand. Often, prosperity begins with a favor or a gift that sets us apart, but that same shine can attract the shadow of envy. Joseph was a dreamer, and his dreams were not mere fantasies, but visions of a future in which he would rise to save his lineage. He told his brothers of the sheaves of wheat that bowed before his, and about the sun, the moon, and the stars that honored him. The sun shone intensely over the hills of Canaan, where the story of a young man would change the destiny of entire nations. Joseph walked among the flocks, wearing the colorful tunic his father Jacob had given him as proof of a special love. That tunic was not just a precious fabric, it was a symbol of identity and calling. The self-help lesson here is vital. Never apologize for having a big vision, even if the people around you have small minds. The envy of Joseph's brothers grew like a silent fire, turning a bond of blood into a chain of bitterness. They did not see a brother, they saw only an obstacle to their own pride and to the father's preference they so deeply coveted. One day, when Joseph went to meet them in the field, far from Jacob's eyes, the cruel plan stepped out of the shadows into reality. "Here comes the dreamer," they said mockingly, as they plotted to extinguish the light that shone in the young man's eyes. They seized him in fury, ripping away the colorful tunic that was his pride and the mark of his identity. Joseph was thrown into a deep, dry pit, where the silence of the earth was broken only by the sound of his own labored breathing. At the bottom of that dark hole, the first great lesson of overcoming was written. Your purpose does not depend on the clothes you wear. They took his tunic, but they could not take the dream engraved in his DNA and in his soul. As Joseph looked up and saw only a small circle of light, he did not know that that pit was the first step toward the throne. Many times, life throws us into pits of isolation, unemployment, or abandonment, so that we learn to look only toward what is eternal. The brothers, sitting at the edge of the pit, ate bread while their brother suffered. Indifference is the coldest form of human cruelty. But the universe has paths unknown to men, and a caravan of Ishmaelite merchants appeared on the horizon, heading toward Egypt. For a few pieces of silver, the price of a common slave, Joseph was sold by his own brothers as if his life had no value. He was chained and taken far from his home, his father, and everything he knew as safety and comfort. As the desert sands burned his feet, Joseph made a decision. He would not be a victim of circumstances, but a master of them. Overcoming difficult moments begins when you stop asking, "Why did this happen?" and start asking, "What is this for?" Joseph looked back one last time, watching the hills of his childhood disappear, and then fixed his eyes on the unknown horizon. He entered Egypt as a slave, but carried within him the seed of a governor and the heart of a survivor. Prosperity is not what you have in your pocket when the journey begins, but the courage you keep in your heart when everything seems lost. It does not matter who sold you or who abandoned you in the pit. What matters is who walks with you through the desert. The coat of many colors was stained with false blood to deceive the father, but the true story of Joseph was only just beginning to be painted. Joseph arrived in Egypt as a commodity.
displayed in a slave market under the scorching sun of the great metropolis. But while the other slaves looked at the ground in defeat, Joseph kept his eyes on the horizon, with the dignity of someone who knew his story would not end there. He was purchased by Potiphar, the captain of Pharaoh's guard, a powerful man who sought efficiency and loyalty in his household. The first lesson of prosperity that Joseph teaches us is this: no matter how humble your beginning may be, do your work with the mastery of a king. Joseph cleaned floors, organized grain, and tended the gardens with a dedication that transformed everything he touched. Soon, Potiphar realized there was something different about that foreigner. Wherever Joseph put his hands, the harvest was greater and problems disappeared. The Bible says that the Creator was with Joseph, and this presence manifested itself in the form of brilliant intelligence and tireless effort. In short time, the slave became the administrator of the entire household, overseeing the finances, the servants, and the captain's properties. Overcoming is understanding that your current situation is merely your training ground for your future destiny. Joseph learned the language of the Egyptians, their customs, and their economy, turning his slavery into a school of leadership. But success always brings new challenges, and Joseph's beauty and grace caught the attention of Potiphar's wife. She desired him and tried to seduce him day after day, offering shortcuts of pleasure in exchange for betraying his values. Many times, life will offer you a shortcut to the top that requires you to sacrifice your integrity and your peace. But Joseph knew that true prosperity cannot be built on the foundation of a lie or dishonor. "How could I commit such great wickedness?" he replied, remaining faithful to his earthly master and to his eternal purpose. True self-help teaches us that character is what you do when there is no one around to applaud you or judge you. Joseph's rejection wounded that woman's pride, and she decided to turn the young man's virtue into a terrible accusation. In a moment of fury, she falsely accused him of a crime he had never committed, using his own tunic as deceptive evidence. Potiphar, torn between his trust in Joseph and social pressure, threw the young man into the royal prison, where the king's prisoners were kept in chains. Joseph went from a colorful tunic to a slave's garment, and now to the chains of an unjustly accused prisoner. For many, this would have been the moment to give up, to curse fate, and to sink into deep bitterness. But Joseph's hope was not in circumstances. It was in the certainty that truth is like the sun. It may be covered by clouds, but it is never extinguished. Even in the dark, damp dungeon, surrounded by hopeless men, Joseph's light shone once again. He did not become a resentful prisoner, but a companion of suffering to others, helping to organize life within the prison. The chief jailer, like Potiphar before him, saw that Joseph possessed an excellent spirit and entrusted him with the management of the entire prison. The life lesson here is profound. Whoever is a leader in the field will be a leader in the palace and will be a leader even in prison. Your value does not change according to the place where you are. It is an internal attribute that you carry wherever you go. Joseph was being prepared in the school of patience, where he learned that the time of waiting is the time of maturation. Do not fear the falls that life imposes on you. Sometimes it is necessary to descend to the depths of a prison to learn how to govern an empire. Joseph's faithfulness in the darkness of the prison was preparing the way for him to endure the intense brightness of the throne that awaited him. Maintain your integrity, even when it costs you dearly, for the price of peace of mind is the best investment you can make.
Within the cold walls of Egypt's prison, time seemed in no hurry to pass. Joseph did not occupy merely a cell. He held a position of responsibility, caring for those whom the world had chosen to forget. Two new prisoners arrived, their faces marked with mystery: Pharaoh's cupbearer and baker. They had fallen from the sovereign's favor and carried on their faces the mark of fear of the unknown. One morning, Joseph noticed that both were troubled by dreams they could not decipher. The self-help lesson here is the power of empathy. Even while suffering, Joseph had the sensitivity to perceive another's pain. "Why do your faces look so sad today?" he asked, offering a listening ear amid the chaos. They shared their dreams, and Joseph, with the clarity that only faith provides, revealed what the future held for each of them. To the cupbearer, he delivered a message of hope. In 3 days he would return to placing the cup in Pharaoh's hand. But Joseph made a simple human request: "Remember me when things go well with you. Speak of me to Pharaoh, so that I may be brought out of this place." The baker, unfortunately, received a message of judgment, and just as Joseph had foretold, everything happened exactly that way. The cupbearer was restored to his position of honor, once again sensing the fragrance of wine and the luxury of the palace. Yet, as he passed through the gates of freedom, the cupbearer forgot Joseph. The comfort of his new life erased the memory of the promise made in pain. Here we enter the most difficult phase of overcoming, the silence of being forgotten, which lasted 2 long years. Many times you will help people who, in moments of success, will pretend you never existed. Emotional prosperity is not allowing another's ingratitude to turn your heart into cold stone. Joseph watched the seasons change through the small cracks of the prison, feeling the heat of summer and the chill of Egyptian nights. 730 days of silence could have become fuel for revolt or depression. But Joseph used that time to master the art of patience, understanding that the clock of destiny does not follow the rhythm of our anxiety. He continued to serve, continued to organize, and continued to believe that his childhood dream was still alive. Hope is not the denial of reality, but the conviction that the present reality is not the final point. While Joseph was forgotten by men, he was being remembered by the purpose that had brought him to Egypt. The lesson for you today is this: do not despair when your efforts seem invisible to those who could help you. Your value does not depend on the memory of the cupbearer, but on the faithfulness of your character during the waiting. 2 years later, Pharaoh had a dream that no wise man or magician in Egypt was able to interpret. The palace fell in panic, for the dream carried an omen that no one could read in the stars or in the books. Then, in a flash of awareness, the cupbearer remembered the young Hebrew who was in prison. "Today I remember my faults," he said to the king, opening the door that had been closed for so long. Joseph was summoned in haste. His hair was cut, his prison garments were exchanged, and the smell of the dungeon was washed away. He did not leave prison begging for mercy. He left ready to offer a solution for an entire nation. Your preparation in silence is what will determine your authority when you are called to the stage. Keep the faith, for being forgotten by men is only the interval before the recognition that will change your life.
Joseph entered Pharaoh's presence with the calm of someone who had already been forged in the fire of life's greatest trials. The most powerful man in the world was troubled by visions of 7 thin cows devouring 7 fat cows, and withered ears of grain swallowing the healthy ones. Pharaoh looked at the young Hebrew and saw something none of his magicians possessed. the clarity of one who sees beyond the obvious. Joseph did not seek glory for himself. He explained that the answer to the mystery did not come from his own mind, but from the source of all life. He revealed that Egypt would experience 7 years of unprecedented abundance, followed by 7 years of devastating famine. Prosperity is not only about having much, it is about knowing what to do with what you have today to secure the tomorrow of those you love. Joseph did not offer only an interpretation, he presented a plan of action, a management strategy that would save the ancient world. He suggested that Egypt store 1/5 of the entire harvest during the good years, creating reserves for the time of scarcity. The self-help lesson here is the value of foresight. The wise understand that the fat cows exist to finance endurance during the lean cows. Pharaoh was so impressed by Joseph's intelligence and courage that he realized there was no one better to carry out that plan. "Can we find anyone like this man in whom is the Spirit of God?" the king asked before all his court. In that moment, the chains of prison fell away forever, replaced by the ring of authority from Pharaoh himself. Joseph was dressed in garments of fine linen, received a gold chain, and was placed in the second royal chariot of the empire. Joseph's story of overcoming teaches us that integrity in the dark is what qualifies you to shine before everyone at the right time. He went from prisoner to governor of all Egypt in a single day, proving that destiny can change in the blink of an eye. Joseph now traveled throughout the land of Egypt, not as a runaway slave, but as the administrator of human survival. He built massive storehouses, organized cities, and taught the people the importance of discipline and saving. During the 7 years of plenty, Joseph was not carried away by luxury or excess. He remained focused on the mission. True prosperity requires focus. It is easy to lose oneself in success, but it is consistency that keeps the throne firmly beneath your feet. When the famine finally came, just as Joseph had foretold, the land cracked and the crops dried up throughout the known world. But in Egypt, there was bread, there was life, there was hope, because one man chose to believe in his dreams at the bottom of a pit. People from all nations traveled for weeks across the desert to buy food from the hands of the man who had once been sold as merchandise. The life lesson is clear. Prepare in times of abundance to be the solution in times of scarcity, and you will never be forgotten by history. Joseph was now called Zaphanath-Paneah, which means Savior of the World, or Revealer of Secrets. He married, had children, and began to heal the wounds of his past through the prosperity of his present. He named his first son Manasseh, saying, "God has made me forget all my hardship and all my father's house." And he named the second Ephraim, saying, "God has made me fruitful in the land of my affliction." His pain was not erased, but redefined. His scars were now the medals of a general who had conquered despair. If you find yourself today in a year of lean cows, know that the management of your mind is your greatest storehouse for survival. Do not waste your time of abundance. Use it to build the structure that will sustain your future and that of your family. The prosperity that comes from wisdom is the only kind that survives the deserts and droughts of human existence. The famine that ravaged the world brought to Egypt faces Joseph never thought he would see again. There they were, the 10 brothers who had once thrown him into a pit, now kneeling before him without recognizing him. Joseph felt a whirlwind of emotions. He had the power to punish them, to take revenge, and to make them feel the pain he had endured. But the highest lesson of prosperity is that hatred is a burden that prevents you from governing with wisdom. Joseph tested them to see whether their hearts had changed, and when he saw their repentance, he could no longer hold back his tears. He ordered everyone to leave the room, and in a moment of pure vulnerability, revealed his true identity. "I am Joseph, your brother." The silence that followed was filled by the sound of forgiveness, a force that heals more than any material wealth. Overcoming is not only about defeating your enemies, it is about having the greatness to help them when they need you most. Joseph spoke one of the most powerful sentences in all history. "You intended evil against me, but God turned it into good." This is the key to biblical self-help. Nothing that happened to you was in vain. Every betrayal was a step upward. Every tear was fertilizer. True prosperity is being able to look at your painful past and see nothing but a perfect plan for growth. Joseph brought his entire family to Egypt, ensuring that no one went hungry and that all lived under his protection. He transformed the tragedy of a divided family into the legacy of a united and prosperous nation. Love your process, for the wounds that make you cry today will be the scars that give authority to your voice in the future. The story of Joseph teaches us that the dreamer may be stopped for a time, but the dream, when it is legitimate, is unstoppable. It does not matter whether you are in the pit, in Potiphar's house, or in prison, the Pharaoh of your opportunity is about to call you. Maintain integrity in the dark, for your success in the light will be the answer to all who doubted you. Forgive to be free, work to be excellent, and wait patiently, for your Egypt of prosperity is waiting for you. May Joseph's journey inspire you to turn every difficulty into a strategy for victory and every pain into an act of love. You are not a victim of your past. You are the governor of your future. Thank you for watching this journey of resilience and triumph through the life of Joseph. If this story inspired you never to give up on your dreams, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more narratives like this. Your participation helps these messages of hope reach hearts that today feel at the bottom of a pit. Share this video with someone who needs an extra dose of courage to overcome this week. Be at peace, keep your eyes on the horizon, and remember, your best chapter is still being written. Until next time.